Thank each of you for being here. Thank you, my Secretary Mayorkas, for returning my phone call the other day. And Director Wray, thank you again for the change you made to your call center operations after the Parkland shooting. The savage brutality that the world witnessed on October 7th and has learned more about over the past 3 weeks is indescribable. Babies beheaded. We just learned of a young lady beheaded. We have stories of young girls raped and then burned alive, people shot point blank. It's just unbelievable. More than 1,400 people, including 33 Americans, have been killed. More than 200 people, including Americans, were taken hostage by Iran-backed Hamas terrorists. I think it's put all of us and it's put the world on alert. And I know our Jewish families all across my state and all across the country are pretty scared to death right now what's going on. It's also showed that these terrorists don't require advanced weapons systems or sophisticated war strategies. They need guns and vehicles. We saw a similar low-tech attack on 9/11. 19 terrorists murdered 2,977 Americans after taking over planes with box cutters. So I'm bravely concerned that our country is once again missing the clear signs of danger and that the risk of a terror attack on American soil, coordinated or orchestrated by a foreign terror organization, is higher than it's been in decades. The mission of the FBI begins like this: to protect and defend the United States against terrorist and foreign intelligence threats. Director Wray, so I trust this threat is something you're clearly focused on. That's what you've said in your testimony so far today. Everyone, I know we've had a lot of talk about how we've gotten here, and there's a lot of colleagues that have talked about that today. But let's focus on where we are and what we ought to be doing next. We also know we have a lot of people in the United States from countries who have large populations of people and even leadership who hate Jews, just absolutely hate Jews and the American way of life. We know that 70,000 Afghans came into the United States, largely unvetted, after the botched withdrawal of U.S. forces in 2021. CBP data from between October 2021 and October 2023 shows that agents encountered 6,386 nationals from Afghanistan. So that's almost 77,000 people from Afghanistan, largely unvetted, as well as 659 from Iran and 538 from Syria. Now let's remember, it only took 19 terrorists to do 9/11. Agents also encountered 164 people from Lebanon, 139 from Yemen, 123 from Iraq. Director Wray, on Sunday, October 15th, you told reporters that, quote, here in the U.S., we cannot and do not discount the possibility that Hamas or other foreign terrorist organizations could exploit the conflict to call on their supporters to conduct attacks on our own soil. I think it's important to understand that what you're saying here, and that we have to make it very clear to the American people that the threat of terror is real and rising in the United States, and I think we'd all agree on that. So just to be clear with the American people, what I'm hearing from you today is that the threats are on the rise and our homeland is at great risk of danger. So that's where we are. So now let's talk about where we go. So Director Wray, so that morning, my 11-year-old grandson was with me, and so we watched as the Hamas terrorists came across and started hearing the stories. So I was trying to explain to him what a terrorist is. So how would you define a terrorist?
Well, I think a terrorist is somebody who commits violence in furtherance of some ideology or political or social goal. It's probably the best definition I would use.
Okay. In media interviews, you have repeatedly spoken about the potential for threats posed by lone wolves in the wake of the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel. Is it fair for the American people to interpret this as you or the FBI are not concerned at all with a coordinated attack by foreign terrorists on Americans here on U.S. soil?
No, that would not be how they should interpret it. That's why I said we cannot and do not discount it. It is true that over the last several years, and I think Director Abizaid said something similar in her opening statement, that we went through a period where the traditional structured foreign terrorist organization threat in the U.S. subsided some in favor of this inspired, ISIS-inspired, let's say, attack.
That's passed.
But while that threat hasn't gone away, to be clear, that threat has not gone away. What has now increased is the greater possibility of one of these foreign terrorist organizations directing an attack in the United States. We haven't seen evidence that it's actually happening yet, but what we have seen is, and I listed them off in my opening remarks, one terrorist organization after another calling for attacks.
So we should wake up.
It is a time to be concerned. We are in a dangerous period.
So the Office of Intelligence and Analysis at the Department of Homeland Security issued a report last month warning that foreign terrorist organizations are looking to capitalize on the ability to easily enter the United States at our southern border. So Director Wray, is the FBI able to track all threats and prevent these individuals from conducting an attack on U.S. soil?
I couldn't say that we were able to detect all individuals. With the people that we know about, as Secretary Rumsfeld used to say, the known, we're quite good at, together with our partners. But it is the unknown that I worry about quite a bit.
So, Director Wray, can you say that we do not have either individual foreign terrorists or terror cells affiliated with foreign groups currently operating in the United States?
Well, we're not tracking that, but again, I point back to what it is. The gaps in our intelligence are real, and it's something that we have concerns about.
So, Director Wray, so what would you say right now to the American public? Because like in my state, I've got a significant Jewish population. They're scared to go to synagogue, Chabad. They're scared to send their kids to day schools. So, but it's not just them. It's, other individuals, like my daughters called me and said, should they be sending their kids to school? What would you tell Americans right now about the threat today as compared to before?
This is not a time for panic, but it is a time for vigilance. We shouldn't stop conducting our daily lives, going to schools, houses of worship, and so forth, but we should be vigilant. You often hear the expression, if you see something, say something. That's never been more true than now, and that's probably partly why the American people are reporting more tips and leads to us, and we're pursuing those threats and leads as vigorously and responsibly as we can.